Good day dear chess lovers, Stolen here, and in today's video I want to share with you an interesting game played between two American chess grandmasters. Robson is playing against Ben Finegold. The game was played in 2011 in St. Louis during Finegold-Robson match, which Robson won. He won 2 games and the other 4 games ended in a draw. This is game 6. Robson is leading in the match and he opened up with e4, to which Finegold answered with c5. Sicilian defense is on the board, and after g6 finally white goes for the open Sicilian bishop g7. Meanwhile, the accelerated dragon appears on the board where black avoids d7 d6 so that he can go for d7 d5 in one move, but with bishop c4 white is stopping it. Black castled kingside, bishop goes back on b3 d6, f3, so the standard Sicilian dragon is on the board now, where white is usually castling queenside. Black has already castled, and then both players are throwing all their anger at opponent's king. Dragon is never boring, and this leads to a sharp battle. h4, instead of going for the standard queen d2 and then castling, white decided to go for an immediate attack, temporarily left the king in the center, and he goes for it. h4, h5 is coming. An exchange of knights on d4 followed. b5. In return, black is seeking for a counterplay on the queenside, standard idea in Sicilian dragon. a5, h takes g6, h takes g6. Already white managed to open up the h file, but this dragon bishop on g7 is securely guarding the key square h8, and so far black is just doing great. Knight d5. White is now intending to answer a4 with knight takes f6 and then bishop d5. Bishop e6. So first I will go through the game and then we'll turn on Stockfish and we will stop on key moments. At the moment, let me tell you that knight takes d5 is also pretty much playable. Knight takes f6 check, e takes f6, queen d3, and black went for d5, thus getting rid of that weakness on d6. At the same time as white king is still stuck in the center, black wants to open up the position, but black did it at the cost of giving up the pawn on b5. D takes e4, white castled queenside, then an exchange on b3 followed, and a4. Black wants to push forward this a pawn as far as possible, thus harassing white king, thus creating a foothold for further attacks. E takes f3, queen takes f3. So at this point we have material equality, right? Yeah, both have equal amount of pawns. Rook e8 g4, rook c8, king b1, a nice prophylactic move. Very often when castling queenside, white is putting the king on b1 where it's in safety. Queen e7, queen h3. White wants to harass black king from h7, but there is a nice shelter on f8, and still it's not that you can easily target black king. Queen e4, meanwhile black is hitting on c2 and g5. In this critical moment white is making a mistake. We will stop on this once I finish the game. And so queen takes c2 check followed, king a1, rook e2. Black is creating a mating thread, but this rook e2 is losing, and now let's see what's the problem with it. Please pause the video and try to find the winning line for white. Ready? In here Robson first announced a check from h7, and after king f8 sacrificed his queen. An instant resignation followed because black king is in a mating net. If king takes g7, then bishop takes f6 check followed by a checkmate. And in case of king e8, white can start a king hunt, and here is how white can finish up black king. This is one of the possible lines. White is then, by sacrificing the bishop, is connecting the queen and the rook, and the rest is just a matter of time. So this is how white can win. You can switch your rook into the attack, or queen b4 check, both are winning. And now I would suggest to go back and start analyzing when the stockfish is on. So in here we see bishop e6 move by black, but knight takes d5 is also playable, something which Roberto Cifuentes Parada played against Alexei Shirov in 2000. And then after bishop takes d5, rook c8, queen d2, black went for an exchange sacrifice. The game ended in a draw, but in this game we see bishop e6. Knight takes f6 check, it takes f6, queen d3. The problem with bishop e6 is that in here, by going for an exchange on e6 and then playing queen d3, white can later emphasize the vulnerability of this pawn on g6. d5 doesn't work, you can just castle queen side. And yeah, this is something which favors white. But in this game, in our game, after queen d3, d5 was played, which allowed black to get rid of that weakness and also open up the position. Castling followed, and then yeah, black went for an exchange on b3 and a4. Although, according to Stockfish, playing rook e8 and then rook c8 or queen c8, moving away the queen from the d file is a better alternative. But from a human perspective, a4 is also good, you know. Again, you're getting a foothold on a3, something on which later Finegold tried to rely. It takes f3, queen takes f3. Looks like that bishop c5 could give white a slight edge. If queen c7, then bishop takes f8. But why are we sacrificing the rook? What if, for example, queen e8? Yes, so turns out that in this case the position favors white, right? Soon white will try to make use of these passed pawns, and the pawn on a3 also looks vulnerable. Interesting, instead we see queen takes f3, rook e8 g4, rook c8, black is centralizing his rooks, queen h3, queen e4, and g5, yeah, which is a mistake, after which we see a huge change in evaluation. Better was rook d3, neutralizing the threat. In the game we see g5, and the pawn on c2 dropped, king a1. And it was in here that Finegold made a serious mistake, played rook e2, which loses on the spot, and instead it was better to make rook e5 move. A difficult move, of course, with which black is neutralizing white's dark squared bishop. And then already once this bishop gets neutralized, if you accept the rook sacrifice, then after f takes e5, black's dark squared bishop, the dragon bishop, is jumping into the game, and it's over, it's black who is winning. Queen b2 and e4 are the threats. Already Stockfish says that it's high time to give up the queen. Instead we see rook e2, and we have already seen how the game ended. The queen sacrifice put an end to this interesting encounter. Well, Finegold had a nice chance of fighting back with rook e5. He could really turn the table and equalize the match score, but rook e2, that treacherous rook e2 allowed Robson to win the game and the match as well. In the end, the chess puzzle for you where the task is to win with the white pieces. As usual, we'll wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in my next video.